I did some mistakes when it comes to my through hike of the Appalachian Trail last year in 2022. And they were really stupid mistakes. I learned from them, yes, but I would love to share my dumb mistakes so that some of you don't have to do the same mistakes that I did. I got this video idea from Jay Wonders Out. He recently talked about his mistakes, and so if you don't know Jay, go check out his channel. He did a through hike last year at the same time as I did, and it's Jay Wonders Out. So I came up with I remembered four stupid mistakes that I did when it comes to my through hike, and all four really could have significantly impacted my entire through hike. And I was actually really lucky that my mistakes did not change the outcome of my hike. So without further ado, let's get started. My first biggest mistake showed up honestly at the beginning of my hike, very close to the beginning of my hike. I had just done my first zero at Neal's Gap because there was a big snowstorm. And I remember my mother saying, just wait another day, do another zero. And I said no. Of course, first mistake is that I didn't listen to my mother, which of course you should always listen to. But anyway, I moved on and I hiked up whatever mountain it was, and then I went downhill and there was a lot of black ice. And I slipped and I fell on my right knee. And so my first big mistake when it came to that situation was that I continued to hike significantly after that. I felt that my knee was hurting a little bit, but I didn't think that it really was going to be like a long-term thing. And then after about another day, it really started hurting like crazy, to the point of where it cost me another 3 zeros to make sure that my knee was gonna get better, because there was no way I was gonna be able to continue hiking with the amount of pain that I was experiencing in my right knee. Come to find out, the reason why I fell was obviously I didn't look at, or I wasn't aware of black ice, and I didn't listen to my mother. But most of all, I didn't know how to use my trekking poles correctly. I continued to have the rubber tips on my trekking poles, and I didn't have any sort of stabilization when it comes to using them on like ice and snow and the rocks and things like that. And so not using my trekking poles correctly was one of the biggest mistakes. So definitely look into how trekking poles work for you better. Some people really like the rubber tips. I like the actual tips that kind of dig into the ground. And in addition to that, know how to use the trekking pole by taking your hand and looping from the bottom, and then holding the trekking pole rather than looping from the top. So that was mistake number 1. My second biggest mistake was using shoes because other people used the shoes. And that was the Lone Peak Ultras. First of all, they're really cute. They have a really good look. They have different colors. They have a lot of options. And I remember Cheeseball getting this really cool eggplant colored pair, and I was so jealous. And then another time she had this orange pair. Anyway, but I used these shoes because of other thru hikers from previous years, and I thought, well, this is the type of shoe that everybody is using and it must really work for my feet. And they did work at the beginning because my body was not exhausted as it was eventually. After about 3 pairs of the Lone Peak Ultras, my feet were in a really bad condition, to the point of where I had to take a break every 4 miles to massage my feet. And I couldn't just take like a 2 or 3 minute break. I had to take like 20-minute break every time after 4 miles. Now, some people would enjoy that break. I personally didn't enjoy it. And then in addition to that, these shoes and the pain that they caused for my feet caused me to trip a lot. At the beginning of my hike, I counted the amount of times I fell, and I stopped counting at 15. By the time I was up there, New Jersey, I my feet were in so much pain that one time I tripped and hit my side of the head on a piece of rock. And that was very, very scary. Now, the injury didn't look significant, and here's a picture of it, but I think the whole situation and the experience was so scary that I knew that I needed to do something different. I thought it was normal that my feet were supposed to hurt like that, but I knew that it wasn't normal to be tripping like this and that it was really dangerous for me to trip. And so I went into New York City and went to the REI there, and they showed me some other shoes. So I decided to go with the Salomon Speedcross 5. They are not cute at all, black. I didn't really like the toe box, but they felt really great. They had cushion, it just felt really stabilized. And in the end, that was the shoe that really, really worked for me. And I came to find out that my feet aren't supposed to hurt like that the entire through hike. And if I had changed them first, maybe I would have liked Pennsylvania a lot more, though I doubt it, but maybe I would have liked it more. But anyway, that is mistake number 2. The third stupidest mistake that I made was underestimating how sharp my neck knife actually is, and also not using my neck knife appropriately. Now, this was in combination with a bunch of other things, and they just came all together and caused me to get injured. So I had a knee injury, as I mentioned previously, so I was really struggling with the pain. And in addition to that day, it was raining, and I decided to hike into camp and not take a break to eat and not to drink a lot of water. By the time I came into camp, I saw this little water source. I sat down. I was so hungry. I was starving. And I remember just getting out my salami, and I took the neck knife and I cut it in a way that I should have done it. So what I did is I held the salami one way, and then I used the neck knife and I cut from the top, and I instantly cut my thumb. And I was so surprised with how sharp the knife was that I went like, oh! And then I cut the tip of my finger as well. And so there I was bleeding profusely because this neck knife was as sharp as a scalpel. And I ran into camp, I got out my Leukotape. I didn't have enough Leukotape, another mistake, bring more Leukotape. And I had to ask other hikers for more Leukotape. I covered it all up, and then at the next day I took the 3 zeros. But it was just crazy, and definitely do not eat. Do not forget to drink water. And don't use a scalpel-like neck knife when you're starving and so hungry that you almost hypoglycemic. So that was my mistake number 3, and I am so happy that it only caused the damage that it did. I did have to walk around with some bandaging over my hands, but it healed really well. I think some people probably would have gotten stitches because it was quite a big cut, but I decided not to do that, which is probably another mistake. But anyways, so that's mistake number 3. And with mistake number 4, I was extremely lucky that things happened as they did. So my 4th mistake was doing something incredibly stupid in the White Mountains. And I don't think I mentioned it anywhere or in my videos, maybe I did, but I was hiking up Franconia Ridge. It was beautiful, loved it. And then you have to ascend Mount Garfield. And Mount Garfield has the most treacherous descent. It is the worst. Ultimately, picture this, you are looking down at a bunch of rocks, but the rocks are essentially a river. There's water flowing down the rocks, and it wasn't raining that day, so it's not like it was just a path with water. This was a legitimate river as a trail. So I started the descent Mount Garfield, and I got to a point where I took the wrong stone. Like I stepped on the wrong stone, and I realized that there is no way for me to get down unless I was gonna jump. If you know the descent of Mount Garfield, you probably shouldn't jump down any rock anywhere in the Whites or anything like that. And it was quite a long distance from the rock to another rock. So I wasn't really at the end of the descent. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Anyway, so I wasn't really at the end of the descent, but I was on top of a rock wanting to jump down onto another rock. I was like, okay, so I have the decision of just standing here or to jump. And I did. And it was a dumb mistake because I could have broken my body. I could have broken legs, ankles. I could have probably, and I don't want to really be like dramatic or anything like that, but I could have killed myself, essentially. I could have. And I was very lucky that I skillfully jumped down this rock, and I regret this decision significantly. Ever since I did it, I really thought to myself, why was I this stupid to do that? I just don't understand. Sometimes you're put into these positions where you just make these kind of crazy mistakes, but they work out. But for me, it really made me aware of the dangers rather than becoming super confident and then start rock hopping all over the place. I really decided after that moment that I was not going to do that again. This could have changed and stopped my hike. I would have been a non-through hiker if I had fallen. And so that was the dumbest mistake that I've ever done. Please don't do that. When you get to Mount Garfield and you see the descent, just take your time. It's crazy. It's a treacherous little descent. But don't do what I did. Don't jump down a river mountain. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you so much as always. I really appreciate all of you guys, all of the feedback, the fact that you're even watching me. I am so thankful. If you like the content, kindly do subscribe, hit the notification button. It all really, really helps. I am planning to through hike the PCT, and this channel allows me to be able to do that. I am trying to increase my subscribers. Right now I'm stuck at around 5,800. It would be so lovely to get to 6,000, and I really thank you for everything that you do, and see you next time. Well, again, you see me, I don't see you. I just don't know why I keep saying that. Bye-bye.